So my big goal, the first part of it, before I even thought about the supporting question launch, I prepared beforehand a connecting point where, because they're talking about travel, they're talking about budgeting, they're talking about supplies, all these different logistics for how people move in the modern world, I was going to take that synthesis and that, that intrinsic motivation and kind of narrow it down and whittle it into our line of thinking for human travel on the Silk Road and the experiences of people.
So your activator question for today, thinking back to our travel planning activity before break, what were some challenges you faced when planning how to get from one place to another? What do people experience when they travel?
The experience I had with traveling, the hotels and activities.
The hotels and activities. So what specifically about them? Was it the money? Trying to figure out the money, the budget, right? There were some challenges along the way. So Lodson says activities and hotels. Expenses, what else? What about just traveling from place to place? What was the challenge with that? Just go to chat? We'll go to chat.
They have different reasons for traveling, and they have different expectations when they travel. Sometimes people agree, sometimes they don't, and sometimes they disagree so much that it ends up becoming a bigger problem than arguing over budget. Calculating the expenses of the trip and picking what place and what I should travel the place with.
So when they start to get in these conversive spaces, they really take off with it. And sometimes it's an avalanche. Sometimes it takes a little while, but sometimes it takes one person and everyone's hands are going up. So I realized partway through some of those discussions that I really wanted to decentralize some of those discussive spaces. I think one of the first questions I asked when I had the students go to our pear deck. So we use that slideshow, which allows all the students to connect in and type in their answers. So they're either, whether they're comfortable sharing out loud or whether they're more comfortable typing in their answers and having it read for them. Everyone can kind of be in an equitable space to share their information.
The cost of the accommodations and the transportation, you'll be able to explore new places and culture and how other people live. We're going to learn about how people engage with one another's culture, experience it, and spread it through trade and through travel.
One of the things that I'm trying to bring more into this part to really help this framing is connect back to a lot of their prior knowledge in human geography, which was a big theme of the last unit, how humans interact with the environment. And I think it's also a huge theme of this unit, especially in regards to some of the bigger questions and the essential question too. I really wanted to give them like a series of questions that led them to that. So the first question being, how do you face challenges traveling on a day-to-day basis, or if you're going on a trip yourself in the modern world? Then how would you tackle a geographic problem or a challenge of traversing land without the modern supports that you have for modern transportation? And then following that question up, I wanted to connect it immediately with experiences. What experiences would you have if you were going to follow that route? Would it be easy? Would it be difficult? Really starting to get in some of the adjectives and some of the ideas about the more qualitative or sentimental ideas about that question.
Big goal for today is breaking down this key question about Silk Route travelers, all right? And also bringing back some knowledge that we have about human geography, which is the relationship between humans and the what? Environment. Bingo. Nice. We're going to make a connection to step back into the past and look at travel in the past by trying to solve a geography problem. There's two maps up here. Well, one of them is a map and one of them is kind of a satellite image map. Get your group in a moment, turn and talk, and work on this activity. See if you can figure out not only what's going on in this map. With your group, you're going to study the map first, and then you're going to see if you can plan a route from Massachusetts to one of these two locations. I'll tell you in a second. So group 1, 3, and 5, you're going to take a look at this map here. This is an elevation map of the United States of America. Groups 2 and 4, you have a tougher job. You're traveling from Massachusetts to Spain. All right? We're talking about the ancient world here. So we might not have planes, trains, and automobiles, but we do have what?
Your feet.
We have boats. All right? So, how are you going to get from Massachusetts to Spain over the Atlantic Ocean? All right? That's not just it, though. For the first part, I want you to take a look at the map. Tell me what's going on in this map. What information can you pull out of the map? You knew what you were doing. We were just deliberating, right?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to do the chariot.
What do we do?
I still say
What did you learn from this map?
the elevation.
It's elevation, yeah. This map shows elevations, the height in comparison to sea level, all right, of the land, okay? There you go, elevation. What else did we learn from the map? Right over here, you have the Rocky Mountains. Trying to get over those is tough, right? You have the Appalachian Mountains over here too. If you're traveling without any modern conveniences over foot, you're going to be dealing with a lot of elevation. So that leads me into part 2. How would you get there?
You could sail to like where North America and South America meet, and then sail the rest of the way around.
Oh, and then bring your boat over land.
Yeah.
And then sail it over. Yeah, you absolutely could. Or you build your boats on the other side. I like how we're thinking outside of the box. Nice, you could use that. You could use the water to your advantage. Absolutely. Groups 2 and 4, we have a different problem here.
Yeah.
What do we learn from this satellite image?
The weather patterns, the storm patterns.
Weather patterns and storm patterns. What else do we learn from this map?
It's gonna
Big.
It's big. Right? It takes a lot of time, effort, alright?
Instead of going straight from Massachusetts to Spain, we walk into Canada because there's a little island covered by some of the clouds, and then we go from there to Spain.
Shorten this. Now we're going to have a quick discussion. Tell me your answer to this question. What would you experience if you had to travel these routes that you made yourself?
We would have problems with the water currents that could harm the boat if we use a boat.
There would be a lot of challenges that we would need to face, such as storms and difficult walking terrain, especially that we have to walk from Massachusetts to Canada to shorten the distance.
Maybe from walking, try to walk to Massachusetts to California.
Feel exhausted, tired, and very hungry.
In the elevations.
And I have students of all different skill ranges who face their own unique challenges and have their own unique strengths. So I tried to, play to as many of those as I can, especially when they're doing group work. So a couple of times I noticed that some of my students who sometimes have some challenge and difficulty keeping up with the notes of others due to challenge in processing or putting verbal information into written information and that transfer through domains, or whether it's a matter of focus on those discussion spaces and talking to other students about the topic versus putting it on paper. It's, a lot of different situations that students I find face in that class, but once you get to know some of those students and their individual habits, you can really find a way to tackle that and redirect them in a way that's meaningful.
What are the challenges of traveling in the world that we know with limited resources? So what would the experience be? And now we're thinking, what's the experience of people who actually took these routes? What's the experience of people who made these journeys? What were their stories like? And what can we learn from them? Okay? So, I don't want you to answer this question yet, even though I'm sure that a couple of us probably could. What I want you to do is do what we've done before, break this question down.
What about one thing that traveled along different routes throughout East Asia? An idea. What do we say before break? So Buddhism traveled along trade routes with people, all right? They carried these ideas with them, and they traveled, all right, throughout East Asia. We're going to find out it traveled from way further in East Asia, all right? So go ahead and write that down. Buddhism. We know about Buddhism. We know about how it spread. We talked about the spread of Buddhism, okay? Calligraphy, writing systems and styles. They traveled too. Nice job. We're figuring out what do we already know, what do we need to know. Someone tell me something from either column. Go ahead, share out. Let's get some points.
People go on dangerous journeys, like traders go on dangerous journeys trying to trade stuff.
Dangerous journeys for traders. I love the way you phrased that. Go ahead, pick the next person, Chris.
They traded
Can you tell me specifically some knowledge that you know of that was spread?
where people were located, who people were, or what they were traded.
Info about people. What about some ideas? Religion. So we got knowledge, information, religion, things. All right, ideas and things, physical things. We're going to talk about two words later too, tangibles and intangibles.
They traded crops, different plants, and food.
Can you jump in and tell me what you need to? Ask a question that we need to answer.
What kind of routes they took?
What kind of routes?
Nice job.
What did they carry with them when they left?
Hey, what did they carry with them?
Were there any threats in the human traffic?
Were there any threats? I'm sure we can ask a million more questions, but these are some great ones to get started. Were there any threats? What would a traveler or a trader on the Silk Routes experience? Okay? What would they experience? What did they bring with them? What were their lives like? That's what we're going to start with.